It's Cash here with the Sweet Science Media. I'm joined by the man himself, Dan Hardy. How are you?
Good, man. Really good. Good to be here.
Dan, obviously we're here at the presser for Joshua Ngannou. Another big fight in Saudi. Another huge fight, I should say. Two giants, two heavyweights. What did you think of the sort of the perception from the fans and the media? Obviously, we had Fury a few months ago. That was a bit out of the blue, a bit random, a bit crazy. This one now, Ngannou's taking a bit more serious. What have you made from what you've seen online and from everyone else?
I think you're right. I think the fact that Ngannou had such a good performance against Fury has brought intrigue out of the boxing world. Maybe not because they want to see him fight, but they certainly want to see a good boxer beat him, right? So I think his performance against Fury really raised his stock and has made him a very valuable commodity for someone like Anthony Joshua to take a risk and try and beat. Because if AJ is able to do what Fury wasn't able to do, that's a huge statement for him and a great marketing tool, for the AJ camp. But it's easier said than done, isn't it? Right? We haven't got the surprise advantage from Ngannou because now we've seen him over 10 rounds, but he's also got 10 rounds of confidence against Fury. So I think we're going to get a different version of Ngannou as well. It's a fascinating matchup, and I feel like it's a much better matchup generally for Ngannou in boxing than Fury was.
Does that make Francis Ngannou more dangerous? Is it the fact that he's got the experience now, or is it the fact that if he didn't have that experience, he was brand new against Fury, no one knew who he was? Has he lost that then, that sort of danger of not knowing what to expect?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there is a lot of surprise factors still associated with Ngannou, just not quite as much as, like, the thing that surprised me, and we spoke before the Fury fight, for all I talked up Ngannou, I thought Fury was going to take it. It's 5th, 6th round, right? The thing that surprised me most was the fact that Ngannou looked like a boxer, right? He stood composed, he kept his shape, he was disciplined. Like, there was nothing that Fury was normally doing that would draw out his opponent that Ngannou was biting on. And for me, that was fascinating because it was just a version I had not comprehended. Now, of course, Fury had not comprehended that version, so it was a shock to him. And Anthony Joshua's now had the benefit of watching Fury deal with that surprise and go, okay, well, maybe if he shows up in the same ways, then I can do a few things better. But you lay a bit of confidence onto the fact that Ngannou did a good job, and then he's going to step up his game. He's going in there to knock AJ out. And I feel like he's going to start more aggressive, he's going to throw harder, and I feel like he's going to be a bit more of a bully in there this time around.
Do you think Ngannou actually has a chance? I know, like you said, we spoke before the Tyson-Fury fight, and Fury was the heavy favourite with a lot of people. Ngannou surprised us, Ngannou showed us a lot of different skills that we hadn't seen before and shocked most of the world. Do you think he actually stands a chance against AJ now that he's sort of revived his career? He's coming back, he's with Ben Davison. He looked very good in his last fight. What are the chances of actually seeing an upset in Saudi?
I think there's a good chance. I think there's a good chance. What we have to remember is, yes, of course, Joshua's built himself up. He's looking much better in his last couple of fights, but he's still going to wake up on March 8th and he's going to think to himself, I've got to be the one that steps in there and deals with Ngannou. Everybody's telling me that it should be the easiest fight. I should be able to dominate him. But in that first round, in that first moment where AJ steps in with a jab and Ngannou cracks him with something hard and he's like, man, he can hit hard. And then you lock up with him and you feel how physically strong he is. That was a surprise for Fury as well. Like, I feel like the pressure is going to hit Joshua. I think it hit him a little bit on the stage, but when he wakes up on that day and realizes what he's got to deal with and that he doesn't really know what he's going to look like in the first round. Am I going to get the Fury version? Am I going to get the UFC version of Ngannou? Are we going to get a whole new hybrid boxing MMA version where he's confident but he's sitting down on his punches? And it's a big mystery, isn't it? What I will say is I feel like he just matches up better generally against AJ, and I would have said that going into the Fury fight as well.
I know I'm talking in sort of hypotheticals and what-if scenarios, but if AJ did the job comfortably, easily, would you want to see Ngannou back in MMA? I know obviously the PFL fans want to see him back. Is it realistic for this year at some point? Or are we looking at, again, maybe close out the year, another boxing match? He said he wants Tyson Fury regardless of the victory or loss. Can we see him there?
Look, I think we'll see him back in MMA. I really do. But what I will say is that everything is hinging on this performance, right? His MMA career for 2024 was hinging on the fight with Fury, right? If he'd have had a terrible performance against Fury, I'd be matching him on a PFL card in the coming weeks, right? But because he had a good performance, this opportunity's opened up to him. If he has another good opportunity, another good performance, even if he does doesn't win, I feel like another opportunity is going to create itself for him. And I would rather see him chase his boxing dream and then come back to MMA. Like in conversations I've had with Francis, he always talks like he has a responsibility to the fans that have supported him up to the point where he's here. And those fans are MMA fans. So at some point, regardless, I think he's going to come back to MMA, even if it's just a thank you for supporting me into my boxing career. We'll get him back, but it might be another 12 or 18 months now.
I was going to ask you, how long can it go on for? Because if it's another one and he keeps surprising us, you know, Ngannou's not young anymore, and you know, there's so many killers in MMA from all over the globe now.
Yeah.
I know you said 12 to 18 months, but I think fans are really dying to see him back in an MMA cage as well.
I agree with you. I mean, I am as well, obviously, as an MMA fan. And what we've got to do in the PFL is figure out who he is going to face when he steps back in there. Now, obviously, with him taking this Joshua fight, it's going to give us a bit more time to figure that out. But we've just acquired Bellator. We've got heavyweights coming over from there. We've got heavyweight champ that we crowned last year for PFL. So we've got 2 heavyweight champs that are most likely going to be fighting soon. That could potentially be Ngannou's next opponent. But the reality, like, he doesn't need to have loads more MMA fights, right? It may be 2, 3, 4 more marquee fights to solidify himself as the best heavyweight on the planet, bar none. You know, and he could do that crossing over from boxing to mixed martial arts, in my opinion.
So the winner of this fight is obviously touted to face the winner of Usyk and Fury in February 17th. How do you see that tournament playing out? Give me your predictions and what you think could happen.
You know, I think the Fury-Usyk fight is going to be a very, very closely contested one, and I feel like the deciding factor in it, when I've watched the fight, I'm going to go, if Usyk was a bit bigger, I feel like he would have probably taken this decision. And I feel like Tyson's most likely going to beat him by being the bigger, stronger guy, by being a bit more of a bully, right? I would love to see Ngannou against Fury again, and I feel like we get a much better version of Fury, but then my fear would be that we'll get the best version of Fury, and that'd be too much for Ngannou. Like that last fight, it was a bit of a perfect storm of Ngannou being great on the night and Fury not quite being prepared. That was the scenario, in my opinion. I think if we get to see those guys rematch, we get a different version of both of them. And I think if we get any success with Ngannou here, even if we don't get the fight immediately, I would certainly like to see that fight remade. You know, you ask Ngannou, who does he want to fight next in boxing? He goes Fury straight away. He's told you the same thing as he's told me. He's desperate to get that fight back because he feels like there was an injustice, you know, and that's a motivator.
I'm going to press you for an answer for this fight, obviously, with AJ and Ngannou. Give me your prediction. What do you see happening in Saudi Arabia on March 8th?
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. So I think Ngannou is going to start well, and he's going to have a couple of really good rounds where Anthony Joshua looks a little bit uncomfortable. And it wouldn't even surprise me if Ngannou lands a few shots and rocks him and makes him look a little bit vulnerable, and then Anthony Joshua starts to turn it around a little bit. And I think we get maybe 4, 5, and 6 where Joshua's, now he's warmed up a bit because he's not the fastest of starters. Now he's warmed up a bit, he's starting to find his rhythm, but 10 rounds is going to be on him before he realizes it. And I feel like Ngannou's either going to drop him at some point in the later rounds or do enough to win on the scorecards.
Guys, you've heard it here first. Dan Hardy's given us the prediction. And yeah, we will see you guys in Saudi Arabia March 8th. Dan, thank you very much.
Thank you.